So, as many of you know, I started my career in content creation pretty much with Anthem. It is a game that I hold dear to my heart. It is a game that I really do enjoy, and I really wish, they continued the game. It started off with a lot of promise, and unfortunately, despite the way it launched and the efforts they made into keeping it alive, the game was essentially put on maintenance, and they let everyone know that, well, as long as people are playing it, they'll just keep the servers open. But in light of that new stop killing games thing that's going on, and that's now in the UK Parliament, EA has taken the decision to announce that the servers will be closing in order to avoid any form of legalities that would force them to, put the source code public. So now we're seeing companies that are going to use this movement as a reason to basically turn off the servers for games that were already on maintenance that people were still enjoying. Now, Anthem is a really weird one because it wasn't a bad game. It was actually a very good game. A lot of live service games are missing the it factor. And the problem was Anthem had the it factor. I apologize for the surroundings. I know you can see my adorable cat over there wondering what he's doing. It was my son's birthday, so we, as you can see, you've got like cards and stuff around and cups and whatnot. So apologies for a little bit of the tardiness, but yeah, as I was saying, a lot of games are missing that it factor. Whether you look at Avengers or something else, it needs that wow factor to keep you going, and Anthem had it. Whether it was the flying, the javelins, or the combo system, it just worked. And the gameplay itself was really good. What it was lacking was content. And had they actually, pushed it through and just persevered with it and continued releasing content, I think they would have probably succeeded in having a successful live service. When you look at big games like Destiny, when Destiny first came out, it was a colossal mess. And then they released a bunch of, DLC, which didn't do all that well. In fact, it got to the point where everyone thought Destiny was going to die. And it wasn't, before the Taken King came along, and that was the turning point, and that saved Destiny. And when you fast forward to Destiny 2 launch was pretty abysmal. And people thought, Curse of Osiris was going to sink it entirely. Warmind came along, giving it some grace, but it really was Forsaken that actually, saved Destiny 2. So every now and then you start off in a rough patch, but you have that one expansion that really kicks it in and gives it a go. And unfortunately, Anthem didn't get that. Now, as someone who's played Anthem pretty much from the beginning, I absolutely fell in love with it. I saw the E3 trailer, all that was totally fake. But it blew me away. It blew me away at what it could be. And then we actually got into the game, and it was just, I loved every moment. I can remember the first time when I actually got into it with early access. I was one of the servers were kicking people left, right, and center. But I got in, and I was able to stay in for like over 2 hours before the server decided to kick me. I still remember how people were saying, of course the streamers can stay locked in, but it was really funny. But the game itself was so much fun. Sure, it followed certain tropes, with like the ghost thing, standing on a platform or whatever until the timing was done before you could move on. But I don't know, there was just something about this game that I truly loved. It was a game that really had a lot of my passion. And had it been alive today, I probably still would have been. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'd still be playing it and be covering it religiously. I mean, even when it went to maintenance for a little while, just because I just didn't want to stop. I didn't want to stop believing. I was still kind of covering it, covering the weekly resets and stuff like that, the bare minimum, before I finally stopped after they announced, it was done, and it, 2.0, the reboot that they were going to do, was cancelled. But now, as of January 2026, the servers are going to go offline. Now I do plan on going back to this and playing it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go back to my PlayStation account, because that's where I played it originally. The game is not cross-play or cross-save, and that's really where I've got all my items and gear and everything just done. Or whether I might just start a new account one day and play through the story campaign with a bunch of friends and see how that goes out. But it really hurts, and it really makes me sad that EA just won't give this IP to someone to, you know, take on board and make the 2.0. The foundations were there for 2.0. The designs, the actual storyboard, the kind of new hubs and everything, they were all kind of mapped out. All that was left was for them to really put it together. They redone the looting system, they did everything. But they decided against it and decided to go with Dragon Age the Veilguard. And we all saw how that went. I mean, at this point, they would have been better off going with that, right? But it's really sad to me, because this was a game that I did not want to see go away. Even knowing that it was on maintenance and I could go back to it at any point and try it out. Because every once in a while I do go back to it and I do, you know, install it and play it. But now the knowledge that I won't be able to do that makes me really upset. And it kind of brings a new light to this whole, you know, stop killing games movement, because, you know, we all paid a lot of money for these. I mean, not everyone, they pretty much paid like $5, but I bought the ultimate edition for like whatever it was, and I don't regret it for a second. I absolutely love the game. I love the story. I love the gameplay. I love the way that each javelin was unique. I love the customization. I love the fact that they incorporated Mass Effect designs into it as well. Just overall, it was just a really solid game. All it was really missing was content, and that's something that we can't really change. I don't know, folks. This one hurts. This one hurts because it meant a lot to me, and I really wish that another company would come along and pick it up. I really wish another company would come along and just take it, and EA would just say, hey, here's an IP, we don't want anything to do with it anymore. You know, it's just a black stain, but if you want it and you can redo something with it, go for it. Or maybe EA can just sub-license the IP out to someone who might make a better go of it. I don't know. But it feels a shame to throw away something like this that had such good bones. Maybe the coding bones weren't so good, but the actual game's bones were really good. It had the best flying in any game to date. There isn't a single game out there right now that has flying mechanics that can top Anthem's. That should tell you something. In fact, even EA's CEO at the time, when BioWare said, you know, gave him a build to test out and see what he thought, when they removed the flying, he ordered them as a mandate to put the flying back in because it was that good. And that should tell you everything. Obviously, it had a troubled development and management completely shit the bed with this one. But all in all, there was something there. It had the it factor. It had the wow factor. And it could have succeeded if they just gave it a chance. We got a few updates here and there, but we never truly got an expansion update. They gave us the Cataclysm event, which I think was good, but could have been way better. It was something I think they just put together as a final hurrah to see how the game would, you know, be received. But I think people were expecting what they saw in the E3 trailer, where these were going to be real world events happening at, you know, in real time. And, you know, it didn't happen that way. So there was a lot of problems there with this game. It had a troubled, you know, journey throughout. But that doesn't mean that the game wasn't worth trying to salvage. And I think truly a good expansion would have saved this game. All it needed was for it to survive until the first expansion and then really push it out. You know, there was a lot of people excited for Anthem. A lot of, you know, in my opinion, it had one of the best communities ever. People were always helpful, except for those guys that just wanted to speedrun and ruin it for everyone. But you get that in every game, right? But yeah, for me, Anthem will have a soft spot in my heart, even after the servers are closed. And, you know, it sucks. I've made a lot of friends. I've met a lot of people. In fact, quite a big number of you watching this video now will have found my content through Anthem. And that says it all, really. I mean, I was doing my Anthem content on my other channel, my Chaos Prime ZYT, which has now been changed to Chaos Prime, well, the Chaos Lounge Gaming. But that's my other YouTube channel where I just cover anything that goes at the moment. But over here, you know, that's where it originally started. And if you go through like the whole list of content, you'll see that I've covered multiple games from Outriders, Anthem, a bit of Destiny, a bit of everything really, Gacha, you name it. But that's where it originated, and a lot of you migrated, you know, over here, and I thank you for that, for continuing to support what I do. But man, the term stronger together was coined with Anthem, and it's never been a better time to say it. I know I'm probably going to try and play it more, you know, at least more before the servers close down. Maybe I'll even do a stream of just having some crazy fun with it. See if I can get the old ragtag crew back together again and go out blasting. That would be on the PlayStation platform. It'd be fun, right? Watching us try to pick up controls that we've never played for a long time. But I might even go online just before the servers close and see just how many of us are going to be around the hub or the world, and you know, as we all say goodbye to a truly awesome game that had all the potential in the world and just never realized. I don't know, folks. This one hurts. This one really hurts. And I know everyone's going to be saying, oh, lol, Anthem and this and for whatever, man. You didn't play it. Because if you played it, you'd have a completely different take on what it was. And this truly was an awesome game. One that deserved so much better than what EA gave it. And one that really needed just that bit more investment. That one expansion to change it all. The game ended on a cliff, you know, the current base story ended on a cliffhanger, and we were all kind of excited at what's going to come next. We already knew where the next city was and how to get there, and we were always wondering like how we're going to clear that rubble and what's going to happen to clear that pathway for us to get to the next city. Then there was that whole time travel situation with the time displacement where people came through portals. It was just a weird and wonderful time, man. Theories were everywhere. And that's what you want in that sort of community. And that's what I truly loved about it. It was an awesome game. And the story, the lore was just brilliant. I loved it. But hey, all good things have to come to an end, unfortunately. And Anthem is one of them. But for me, I will have fond memories of this game. And I am going to hold out hope that one day we do get an Anthem 2, and at the very least maybe someone between now and January will just step up and say, hey, we would like to buy the IP and work on an Anthem 2.0. The blueprints, the foundations are all there. They were all already laid out. Just take that all and run with it, because it was pretty much set in stone, from the gear to the javelins to the upgrade systems to the modules, everything. All you need to do is just put the pieces together on a good frame, and that's it. Write a good story. The story was already awesome. But anyway, folks, I don't want this video to sound all doom and gloomy, but yeah, it is just one of those videos, and one of those that I'm really sad to make, because I didn't think we would be making this. Like I said at the start, the servers closing is 9 out of 10 instigated by the Stop Killing Games movement that's going on right now, especially with it going into the UK Parliament to actually be addressed for legislation to come out to stop companies from doing that. So EA is acting now, most likely, in order to prevent that, which is still scummy in my opinion. But I understand why now they're doing it, because this game doesn't really cost anything to keep the servers on. It's probably running off a USB stick at this point, to be fair. So it really doesn't cost them much, if anything, to run this as a server, considering how low the player base is. So for them to actually just outright kill it, that has to be the only logical reason that I can think of. It's the only one that makes sense. They're trying to avoid any form of, you know, pullback from this legislation. So by announcing it now, that it's closing in January and they're stopping all microtransactions and everything else in the game, they are now out of that period where they have to abide by any legislation because the decision was made now. So this is the first casualty of the, you know, stop killing games movement. Hopefully we won't see any more, but it's really sad that it's this one, because I didn't want this one to die. I was hoping someone would eventually pick it up and bring it some new light. I'm upset, man. That's all I can say. This one hurt me. But hey, if you've got it on PlayStation or maybe Xbox, it should be on Game Pass, I believe, via the EA Access. Let's see one day if we can get back online, and if you've been playing it, get back into our javelins. I'm a Colossus main, always have and always will be. So hopefully we'll see you out there in the great world of Bastion. Right, folks, that's it from me. Have a good one. Remain legend.